and just picks that make you uncomfortable rather than being forced to play ban the meta champions.
Exactly. The consistent thing we can track throughout these ban phases, at least, is that Rox has been banning the Syndra and the Ryze, and SKT has been making sure to keep Aurelion Sol on the ban list. What's interesting is that Red Side is actually banning the Nidalee all the time, but for this SKT Red Side ban, no surprise at all.
This looks like first pick Zyra if they're banning the Karma away, unless they think like MF is the right one for it.
I think they just say support MF doesn't work that well into Karma, but it works great into Zyra. That could be their rationale. They're saying,
and they take Caitlyn.
We no longer care that you take the early rotation Zyra. We've just shown you an answer. They're probably just going to lean towards an early pick Olaf. It would have been Jace if Jace wasn't banned here, but both these teams seem to agree that it's so strong.
Yeah, the thing with the early pick Olaf is they have banned away the Karma, so they don't necessarily have a great way of hasting Peanut. The fact that Ashe is first picked,
if somebody would have told you
that in our pick and ban preparation, that's for sure.
If somebody would have told you Ashe is going to be contested first pick, first ban in Game 3 of Rox SKT, you would have called them crazy.
Yeah, these games are being played at such a high level that the Ashe arrows actually have kind of swung the game in a lot of different instances. These teams aren't willing to opt in to a negative team fight, but they can find so many positive team fights with the Ashe arrows. That's maybe one of the reasons they're picking Ashe, as well as the strong laning phase.
But if we look at what actually countered Ashe very hard in the past, it's been maybe the Olaf pick that countered CC, but I want to see SKT just play Caitlyn Tahm Kench, honestly. Get a matchup that can farm graciously, even if pushed in the Caitlyn, pick it up, have good mid game, then get the Tahm Kench later on, and you can just start playing the map 1-3-1, make picks everywhere, because Tahm Kench in the mid game is the hardest counter to Ashe Arrow in the game.
Very true, and you saw that for the first time all series long, SKT have not rush picked the Zyra now, whether it's because of the chance of the MF counter or, as you're mentioning, the Tahm Kench possibly being the counter pick they actually want. We'll have to see.
I think it's definitely because of the misfortune counterpick, as funny as that is. As tournaments progress, being able to find a foil to meta picks gives you a huge upper hand in some of these pick and ban phases, and I think that's what Rox have done with support misfortune. So they're kind of preventing SKT from being able to take it, and I think they're going to be able to get the Zyra. The problem with that is they have given over Olaf, and I wouldn't be surprised to see something like Olaf and Orianna in this from a team composition perspective, because you get a big Olaf running in with Orianna, and you can actually run right over Ashe Zyra. So a lot of mind games and strategy going on in this draft phase.
Well, still waiting to see what they want to do. Of course, SKT had no reason to rush pick their Caitlyn. They already knew Rox Tigers had a marksman picked up, and I don't think we think Ashe is going to get flex picked as much as we saw the MF do that. But now they are going to go back for the Zyra anyway. So waiting a little bit to pick the champion, still going for it, and the Orianna back in for Faker. Again, misfortune, of course.
Yeah, very similar comp here by Rox. The Viktor replaces the Karma. Viktor does get pushed in a little bit by Orianna early, so it's not the guaranteed 3-push lane here, which may mean a lot here because Faker has shown that he can leverage push in lane into advantages for other lanes. One addendum to this matchup is that the Zyra, or rather the MF poke, is going to be very hard onto a misfortune because she actually outranges the Caitlyn outranges misfortune in that aspect, and that's going to change up a little bit of the poke pattern down in the bot lane for Rox Tigers.
Yeah, completely agree, and I think that's why SKT picked the Caitlyn so early. They're thinking they can give this matchup another go, and it does still play off of Rox Tigers having the surprise matchup here, right? They're trying it again. Oftentimes when you get surprised by one thing, you go back, you think, okay, what did we do wrong about that pick? And they think they can beat this misfortune support. The Ekko final pick is no surprise. It's their counter matchup to the Rumble, and they actually get two pretty strong lanes in the mid and the top line if you're looking like SKT.
But last game, we also got to see why Praise Ashe was so good. It's not only the way he handles it, the way he arrows, it's also the early game hawk shots, because they reveal people in the jungle, and that allows Peanut to excel.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also feel like this draft is much better than the last one for SKT. They're not against they're not with three losing lanes against a misfortune as well as Elise. They actually have lanes that can get some semblance of control with the mid lane, and maybe the Caitlyn can be a little bit better in the bottom side.
What's interesting with that, as you mentioned, the context of the game changing because of the lane. Here, you know, 3 for SKT, 4 for Rox Tigers. They just took the Viktor over themselves, but just the way the matchups line up, we might have a substantially different game with just 2.5 different champions.
And let's not forget that it was Peanut's counter gank very early on that decided kind of the series when he hit in the top lane rush, you know, really allowed Rox Tigers to snowball, because we saw if the gold was closer, SKT could have easily taken it in the late game.
Well, it's going to be a fun one to watch for, and we'll see if SKT can definitely hold on a lot closer to the early game than they had in the previous year. Of course, Kuro is back on his famed Viktor, and that will be some more damage to be had, which again, helps Rox's late game chances out. But SKT looked so good when they had when they had Orianna on Faker. He's been very big so far in this series, and we have game 3 coming up. It's 1-1 so far, a best of 5 for a shot in the finals. We'll see who their opponents are tomorrow, but today we figure out who deserves to move on and who gets eliminated. Game 3, Rox Tigers vs SKT.
Yeah, and the first 2 games have just been so insanely entertaining and played at such a high level. You can see why these teams are so hyped and why they are oftentimes considered the 2 best teams in Korea or the world. And we kind of just have to take a deep breath and reset for this next game, because you can't think about the past when you're in these situations, and you always have to look towards the future. How do these teams reassert their dominance, retake control of the series, and find their way into the finals?
Yeah, it all starts with adequately playing the laning phase here. You see Gorilla moving up, farming gold again, trying to find enemy support.
And it's Rox going to be starting Peanut on the top side of his own jungle. So both duo lanes too busy fighting each other for supremacy to do much else. Phreak doesn't land it.
One little thing this does is getting the push up early from Gorilla in the lane allows him to trample a lot of these plants, these seeds. They're not really that relevant, but it's these minor things that happen, and that matter in the battle for lane supremacy.
Yeah, and the Caitlyn is such a different pick here than the Ezreal. The early laning shove could be much different depending on how well they can land poke in the early game. The make it rain, not to mention the ball lead. I doubt we'll see Bang in a 30 CS hole like we saw in the last matchup, but it's still going to be very interesting to see how they shove each other in.
Now look at both these players trying to maximize their poke, hitting both minions and champions at the same time. Gorilla, he could obviously opt for just a champion target right there because he was already winning the push, but much more even. Second wave is going to decide it all. 3 melee creeps is what separates them right now from hitting level 2.
3 melee minions. First plant comes up. Wolf actually managed to get 2 plants up, and that means a bit of extra damage. Gorilla's on plant killing duty, and level 2 coming in shortly.
There's also something we have to point out about the early wards that happened in the jungle right here. They got to see Peanut taking the blue buff, and they also have another ward in with the Raptors, so they could have knowledge of Peanut all the way through his jungle clear, which gives Blank and the rest of SKT a whole bunch of knowledge about how to play their lane.
Same time though, Blank did get a leash here at the start of the game as well, so both these junglers quite aware of each other's positions.
The interesting thing with the leash though is you can fake a leash as a top laner unless you have actual knowledge of him.
Yeah, but Olaf is so dangerous on that clear just alone. But if you'd fake it, he'd start blue buff, so it's technically possible. Blank right now. Sure. Love this. In the range support matchups, it's so strong to get that Scuttle Crab early on, because now they can move the ward up to Tribush. The only caveat is that at least Sin could technically go over the wall, but he would have to find some janky walls to really dodge that double ward there.
Seems like it's not really going to happen, and Peanut was able to actually wait out the Trinket ward, and even if it's not specifically scouting SKT, knowing the general habit, saying, oh, Faker put a ward down, Kuro says he left mid lane with the Trinket, here's the timer, and Peanut's able to jungle without getting directly spotted.
And this is how Peanut honestly snowballed the game when they played against EDG. Rox Tigers got some information on EDG in a lot of their games early on. Peanut went for a full clear and then went for a level 3 or 4 gank somewhere around their strong lane, usually Smeb. And once he snowballs Smeb ahead, gets that first turret down, that's when he moves his focus to the bottom lane. And with these matchups in mind, they can do a similar style here again.
Yeah, last game they had the early push from the Rumble in the top lane. They synergized that very well. But in that game as well, Blank was much more obvious about where he was. He burned his ghost in mid lane, then meandered up to the top lane to walk into a counter gank. Here he catches him at the Scuttle Crab, and the crisis is somewhat averted.
And with this Scuttle Crab that he took out the Rift Herald pit right now, Smeb can keep pushing up the top lane because he can just ward the brush that he's about to do right now. He doesn't have to care for river wards because the combination of that ward and Scuttle Crab makes him ungankable by Blank, which means he can just unrelentingly push in constantly.
And here's the first attempt at the gank. Peanut gonna ward hop, gonna land an auto attack into the slow. Nice juke by Faker. Stays going to the left, and Peanut's gonna land the Sonic Wave.
At the mind game, so he goes in for the dash, then he tries to fake a Q animation by Eing, hoping Faker would maybe flash if it connects, or juke, or endlessly juke to death. There's so much reverse mind games in that play.
They're so good at juking as well. And Krepo, you and I were talking about this during the quarterfinals with SKT, how many deadly flourishes they dodged from Jhin.
Yeah.
The level of these players of just sidestepping so many of these skill shots is truly the best in the world. And we saw a small example of it right there. The mind games between Peanut and Faker, respecting each other's skills, and Faker comes away on top there by dodging.
And it's actually Korean advice, but you gotta just keep clicking so close to your character model so you can do the quicker turns. You see that at Faker here, because there's no turn speed in League of Legends. He turns much more often and much more accurately than a lot of players. Right now, Blank trying to repeat the same thing here. Axum to Kuro.
Looking for his play, gets the slow. Kuro this time around, gonna save his summoners, knows that Blank had the juke a little bit too far back towards the lane to grab his undertow again. Peanut there to say, hey, get off my mid laner. But Kuro is down significantly in this laning phase, and Wolf's up to make it even more difficult as Peanut gives over 45 gold.
Yeah, I like the roam there from Wolf,
Yep.
actually, because they knew the other dual lane was recalling. They're going to be able to shove out the lane by leaving Bang down their solo. And now they get to use him for some ward control in the mid lane, so...
Yeah, well, ward control, they don't bring any wards. Look at their builds. Both of them upgraded Frostfang. They're like, screw the wards. We're the damage dealers now.
Yep. You're landing a full combo is 45 gold. It'll accelerate them towards a later sight stone, but they'll be fairly rich as before. Yeah, both marksmen actually getting very interesting recalls. Bang got a full BF sword. Prey has parts, and yeah, he's going towards Essence Reaver anyway, but not the same level of power right now on this Ashe.
Yeah, and the lane is working out much differently than it was when it was in Ezreal who was paired with the Zyra, because Bang's Caitlyn has been able to outrange the MF as well as outrange the Ashe as far as their really small trades as they're trying to CS. And sometimes Rox Tigers can get the shove in, but then they also can't harass Bang as effectively while Bang is trying to CS. So this support Misfortune pick is actually going to have some pretty real fall off if they can't execute some kills at level 6, and it's a much better choice here by SKT with the Caitlyn.
Definitely, especially when MF tries to follow up on a Make It Rain. It's very easy for Caitlyn to just do an EQ combo, any trap combo, any just source of disengage where they can then follow up with some damage too. That makes it so that Gorilla has to wait for level 6. Remember though, the power spike on the engage is much better for Rox Tigers, because even if there is Stranglethorns from Zyra, by that time she can very likely already be blown up, because both of the engages, both of the high damage spells outrange the exhaust that Wolf is carrying. So if he eats an arrow, he just gets blown up anyways.
Yeah, not to mention the assistance that Peanut would be able to provide to his gank. There's so much mobility on the Lee Sin with lane ganks with Ashe that if you land the arrow, even if the person has all summoner spells, it's a likely kill because Peanut can probably combo with the damage.
Yeah, keep in mind, he can safeguard to plants, and those things have almost 1,000 range you can place them at for a Zyra, so it is pretty easy for Peanut to get in. Also worth noting is sort of par for the course.
Yes.
Wolf getting caught at level 4. Here's the jump in. A few more attacks will do it, and that's first blood. Peanut with the flash kick on the Bang. That was beautiful, and they make it a double kill for Prey.
And Bang should have flashed that here. We see Blank flanking here, looking for Gorilla. Is he watching?
No way. Juke. Is he gonna land it? Just walks into his face. The heal is there, and he's running away with Ghost and Undertow on. Sonic Wave is there. Is he gonna do it?
Go.
Is he gonna do it?
Is that range?
Yeah. Wasn't able to like safeguard it and make it more.
What an awesome series of events that we just saw right there. Exactly as they're about to ping level 6, they pop Wolf down, who was a little bit even lower on experience because of the support roam. Bang didn't have the flash at the right time. And then even at the very end when Blank goes in for the last kill, just an awesome series of events.
Yeah, but you can see that the pressure is getting to Bang here. There's no way he should die in that exchange. Right now, he should just leave his support to die here.
Bail out.
Just bail. Let him use the heal. Ooh, the Mad Life on that Q and then instant kick flash follow-up. Yeah, it makes you wonder. Should have been able to flash that one.
Peanut had just hit level 6 on that approach as well. And then because Gorilla was so low, Peanut, or Blank actually understands his limits right here. Doesn't mess around. Point blank Q, immediately running away. The only thing he could have done to pick up that kill at the end. But still advantage Rox Tigers for pulling off that double kill.
Little thing for Blank. He waited until he applied red buff with auto, and then he and Morpho here supports battle off. But he waited with the axe until he was already close applying red buff, because if the first axe misses, the time it would take for him to pick it up and throw it again would mean his death. So, very well played by Blank.
I got a shot at two things from Wolf, though. One is he could have flashed the air, of course, and failed to do so. But the second one is I believe he actually led Phreak through Fog of War when he got that route over the Dragon Pit right there. There were no wards in the actual jungle at the time, so seeing him come up with the river was like, and he's here, and nailed the Womp Rat.
Alright, Arrow's up again. Misfortune Ultimate is up again. They could use it to force just some damage. They don't necessarily need to kill. That's a setup right there. It's the Make It Rain into the Arrow, into the Bullet Time. That's the combo. They can leverage that poke into a potential dragon. However, it's Cloud Make.
Got him again.
There's the stun, there's the volley slow, and all the damage they could possibly need. Gorilla gets the kill. Nothing Wolf could have done outside of getting out of the lane entirely.
And I actually think he should have actually been out of the lane entirely. Or at least at his turret, because the minion wave was already going to push in. Yes, Prey is incredibly accurate with his arrows, and he's making this AShe pick work, but Wolf without flash and low experience with no heal in the lane needed to be sitting at his turret for Bang to last hit. I count that as a mistake by SKT.
Well, you're seeing those mistakes get exploited, and this is the Rox Tigers that we talked about at the beginning of the show. SKT are a more reactive team, which is not meant as an insult, but that's their style. They're a little bit more slow-paced. Rox is about finding an opening and taking a crowbar to it as fast as possible. And this first pick, AShe, is that crowbar. It's like, oh, a flashless Zyra, let's keep going there.
And Gorilla still doesn't have any boots. He just went for the straight upgrade into 4 wards, using that strut to maybe get some roaming presence. SKT picking up the mostly given public here. We gotta keep tracking that misfortune support here, because he already is playing with 4 wards on the map. That's 1 extra compared to Wolf. Wolf no boots at all, Peanut.
Oh, Peanut shockwave, then rooted into everything. Nicely done. SKT picked one up.
Yeah, beautiful combo right there from Faker and Wolf, understanding their damage. They even got the last hit on the Raptors there, pulling that combo off.
And they track the flashes. That's what you gotta do on the highest level. You see Lee Sin in the pit, probably use his shield rather safeguard on himself instead of saving it for a potential ward up. Likely ran out of wards. Now Wolf.
Don't pull the trigger on actually going for it. Gorilla had no ulti.
Yeah, and the story of this game also kind of syncs up with the story of these two teams, whereas Rox Tigers have a superstar in the top lane with Smeb, and they play through their bottom lane often, whereas Faker is just a pressure machine in the mid lane. So it's SKT now with the 1 kill on Faker and some more control, trying to play through mid, whereas Rox trying to play on the side lanes.
Not the most beautiful equalizer. Gets a 0 for that one. But it's still a 500 gold advantage, putting Rox Tigers ahead. You mentioned Faker being a pressure machine. You see he's up 20 minions right now, getting what chip he can on that mid turret. Maybe we'll see some more pressure soon.
But there's only 600 gold in the lead right now for the Rox Tigers. And they don't have that pressure in mid lane, so they need to break open this tier 1 turret bot lane, just like they did in the last game. That is what will accelerate the game, what will allow them to move their AShe to the mid lane and maybe pick some Faker. Right now, Peanut finds himself at least swayed it off that jungle creep. Blank aggressively defending, that's what they need to do. SKT cannot yield their own jungle again to Peanut.
I absolutely agree with that, and they can't yield this bottom turret. They have to be so careful not to get caught in the combo again!
The combo's there. Wolf's running out of help, but there's not enough damage to deal, really. Gorilla, if he got trapped up, might have been comboed out, so Bang putting in some proactive damage, and not a full bullet time.
Look how afraid they are of actually hitting the turret. Very little chips going that way.
Yeah, notice the hawk shot flew through the jungle of SKT, which I actually found a little surprising since they would have seen Blank in the top side earlier. So a bit of a wasted hawk shot, I feel.
This is
getting jungle timers.
Just not the perfect flow of information. Honestly, very hard to do. You know, trying to micromanage this lane, talking between each other, praying Gorilla of when they're gonna pull the trigger on the combo, actually landing all the skill shots while keeping track of the enemy jungle. Very hard.
But this pressure's finally working out. It's an individual 1,000 gold lead for Prey. Make it rain, making Bang's life a little bit difficult, and 2 more autos will do it. First turret of the game, 13 minutes in. Nicely done, Rox Tigers.
Watch Gorilla step in for a little bit of extra gold as well. He's not giving up any gold to his AD carry right now. He is definitely in the running for damage dealt here.
And you can see Smeb trying to figure out what's going on up here. Of course, Duke waiting in the brush as well, but there's no junglers for either side. Smeb won't know the sun is coming, and he's not going to be able to juke away from it. So a nice early engage here by Duke. Gets Smeb down to half HP. And how much more can he really get? That's it.
Those are the kind of mind games that really swing the pressure in the top lane, especially as
Wolf. Well, he had Blank around him.
Wolf's
down.
Not having the greatest game. It's quite annoying to play Zyra into this matchup, especially when you fall behind. Like you want to get vision, but you're still a ranged support into a Viktor. Your team wants you to play Zyra, and if you pick MF, you know you're gonna die because nobody's gonna hit your AD carry. This is such a hard pick to play because if you play too careful, respecting all this engaged, you may just yield too much pressure, already making it worth it for Rox.
Arrow once again.
Oh, this time around, he's able to juke it. Oh, the flash Q, though. Pino wants it, but the exhaust is enough. And the shield in from Faker. Wolf will survive it.
Because that was red buff on Peanut. He would have died if it weren't for the shield.
Faker definitely coming in clutch at the end there, but Wolf with the exhaustion. You talk about, Krepo, the difficulties that Wolf has had to undergo, but that's actually the first arrow he's been able to sidestep. He now has boots mobility to give himself a little bit more leeway with being able to dodge some of these arrows. And again, we're in this situation It's not as extreme as the last game, but where Rox is trying to take that Ashe and Misfortune and move it around the map to advantages. I feel like SKT is in a better position this game than they were in the last.
Definitely agree. It's a much closer game here on this one. SKT coming around in this one, looking for the fight on the Smeb. He's going to have to flash get away from the stun, but Blank Slow is there, and Smeb has no other way of getting out. That's the kill picked up. Duke makes it 3-3, and the top lane's looking a whole lot better than it was before.
And that's the difference. Last game, they had double teleport, so they could keep committing to this arrow bot lane that could just keep making picks off and get a turret, get an objective, even get 2 turrets. Right now, they were playing under a single teleport. Smeb has not found an opportunity to leave the lane as Rumble, and going even in this matchup, or even just going up 10 CS, is beneficial for the Ekko later into the game.
Quick slow on the Faker. You're seeing the way SKT playing this game is quite a bit different. Wolf has been out of the bottom lane for quite a while now. 4-level difference compared to his AD carry. Just roaming, trying to find plays to make.
Yeah, note that Smeb had actually used his ultimate beforehand, which made this a pretty safe gank when you're considering it for SKT. They land the first axe, post-flash. Blank has actually had great patience with his undertows thus far.
Oh, man. That's flash out of Bang, but he's still slowed down. There's the harpoon, there's the chase down, and Gorilla's going to make it rain. Into the bullet time, and it's going to be all the damage he needs. Gorilla getting the kill.
Because Gorilla played it smart. He flashed in for the love tap right there, then made it rain, slowed him down, guaranteeing his ulti would be up the entire time. I didn't see where the heal from Bang went up.
8 seconds left on the cooldown when he died. So very close margins there as Rox is able to pick up another kill. Still just 2,000.
Oh, that shockwave was way better than it could have been. It actually slows down Peanut as well, and it means Kuro's out of that one.
But again, Rox, when do they go on the aggressive? Right before the objective spawns. So this teleport essentially secured them another dragon here. So they always tie in their aggression with objectives, and that's how you play early in competition. Just kills, not enough. The kills and objectives could be enough to leverage Elite large enough to combat whatever scaling advantage SKT have.
Yeah, that's the perfect balance. They have the pressure in the bottom lane, and it was clever how they ran Smeb there, even though his teleport was down, but now they're looking to catch him out.
Stranglethorns to guarantee the rest of it lands. Wolf goes for the 100% secured combo.
Duke.
It does go to Duke. Blank gets an assist credit. Sunfire Cape hit him. Congratulations there. Cinder Hulk, I should say, but arrows coming in, and of course, it's going to hit Wolf, but how much more can they get? Oh, they're going to get the kill.
Feels bad, man. You go for a cross-map play, you catch the enemy top laner, you just use his teleport, everything's great, you even out that dragon somewhat, then an arrow hits you.
Gets him back on the blade. Yeah, the ulti was already down. He used it to get away from Prey's slows, and that's going to be the quick 2 for 0. Rox in even more control.
I mean, Rox, they keep switching up the side of the map that they play on. They finished the objective in the bottom lane of Tier 1, so they left Bang alone. So even though they were a member down, they were still in a numbers advantage because they had the pick potential with the arrow, because they keep moving in bigger units, like they continuously move as 4 or 5 men.
Yeah, and then the question is, can you transition those kills into objectives? So far for Rox, it's been absolutely yes. They can get this turret down right now, and even though SKT was pushing the mid and bottom lane turrets, they only chip it. They don't actually convert into gold.
Yeah, again here, Smeb, he moves back to the top lane because his bot lane is basically saying they'll match him. He goes a bit too far. Honestly, this is Smeb overextending, but the reaction immediately here. Look at where Phreak and Gorilla are right now. He sends out his arrow from so far. This is like,
yeah. Peanut gets spotted on a ward, doesn't care. If this arrow lands, it's good. It was the blue trinket that also helped them with the vision there. Once you get the long stun onto Wolf, it's an easy pickings for Peanut. And then Blank running out this way, you know his ultimate's down. Peanut can extend the play afterwards because he didn't have to use his kick. Beautiful counter by Rox after Smeb fell.
Totally agree. And that first pick, Ashe, you're seeing it really pay off. Funny thing is, it's Gorilla who's the one being part of everything. 100% kill participation here on the support Misfortune. The counter pick to Zyra. So far, so good. And now it's the mid lane siege. 2-0 in turrets. And Duke's going to answer that one pretty quickly now. Top lane has just been, it's been counterpicked and it's been pressured enough that SKT are finding at least 1 point of leverage.
at this point, SKT, they need an answer because Ashe is arrowing every single time.
Bang's running out of health much too quickly.
And this is why Rox has first picked the Ashe. They're making so many plays with this combination.
All 7 kills, honestly, feel like they have had Prey involved, even if he didn't get an assist on one of them. Look at the enemy bot lane. 0-6 right now for Bang and Wolf. This Ashe Zyra lane needs to get answered by SKT, likely in the draft phase, likely with a ban.
Yeah, Prey has been playing Ashe for 6 years, and even though he hadn't been playing it early on in this tournament, the Ashe arrow's been what stayed the same the entire time. You just aim it, he knows the angles, and it's more than just clicking it on the person, because he's finding these SKT players against walls and in corridors where the likely place of retreat isn't possible unless they flash, and oftentimes he's throwing it at people with summoner spells that are down.
That's the best thing about watching people who excel at champions. They know how to put people into either dodge patterns, guaranteeing hits, or they get so good at predicting how people react to it. It's the same with like Bard ultimates, it's with Blitzcrank's hooks. If you can put them next to a wall, you eliminate the dodge in one direction. You then put the skill shot slightly higher in the other direction, they get hit. They just physically can't move out unless they flash. It's such a good play. And then Prey from Fog of War always angles his arrow just slightly, indicating, you know, I think you're going to juke into it ever so slightly once it pops on your screen, and then it's too late to dodge.
Yeah, it's always very interesting. I think statistically, more skill shot reliant champions get worse in higher tiers of play. You have famously champions like Ryze, where it's like, oh, for your average platinum player, it's 42% win rate. For professionals, every single game, because it's all targeted skills that pros can't dodge, because pros are so good at dodging skill shots. And Prey, on a champion who must land skill shots to be worth picking, is able to do so against the literal best players in the world. And you can't hype up enough how hard this normally is for your average player to land skill shots on players like Bang and Wolf.
But with all that in mind, it is only, when we say only, 2,000 gold lead here. SKT do have scaling components. Their mid scales very well. Smeb right now in a bit of trouble. He needs to get out of here.
And he's able to do so, but burns his flash and his ulti for it. Smeb has been the target of most of SKT's aggression.
So this is no flash on Smeb, and Duke is sitting on 2 kills already. He is the saving grace. Honestly, coming into the series, expected to be the weak point, but SKT need to rely on him right now and his side lane pressure on the Ekko to drag him back into the game.
I find it fascinating how SKT has had Duke in positions where he needs to be the side lane pressure for them to have the game stalled out right here. Blank doesn't have his ultimate, but he is still very tanky.
He doesn't care.
They might try and turn this around if they had the right flank. And it's interesting here, right? Because the 3,000 gold advantage, for most teams, if you think Rox is 3,000 gold up, you think, game is over. But SKT is the best team in the world at playing from behind, and they also have some tremendous scaling in this game. The Zyra, who can scale into a massive damage dealer, compared to the Misfortune, who kind of falls off a bit of a cliff. Orianna, Caitlyn, Olaf, Ekko, all these things can scale into advantageous matchups if they can continue the items to just match what Rox Tigers have. So even though Rox has the lead, there's no way this game is over.
Absolutely agree, especially when you've got these points of pressure that are in different spots. Duke has had priority over his one-on-one matchup against Smeb for the last several minutes now. Yes, Rox can land arrows, but Duke can keep pushing.
Let's follow the players on the map here. Smeb based, and he ran down towards his team because he's no longer in the top lane, because this is again what Rox is doing. Once they see an objective or potential pick opportunity, they play a more compact style of League, and Duke actually realized it. Instead of pinging the top wave, or instead of going to the top wave that he pinged earlier, he's actually joining his team immediately for contesting that objective in that dragon.
Yeah, they don't want to be spread out and get picked off by an AShe arrow here, because that's where Rox could win the fight. But if they group up, SKT feels like they have a decent chance. They have a Luden's Ekko just completed on Faker. That is a massive 2-item power spike, and SKT is going to hope to find a big fight.
And pressuring in mid first, they're going to have that wave pushed in. They're going to force Rox to react to them. Blank can't find the slow. There's the arrow, but it's onto the tank. SKT are fine with that one, and that's one of the big tools down.
So this is good for SKT. They can go in.
Oh, misses!
Oh, a lot of damage, and Wolf's going to burn to death already. That's a 1 for 0. How much more will Rox get? Does Peanut chase it into Blank? He does not.
This is not Wolf's game.
No.
He's been getting hit by all the AShe arrows, and then he flashes in to miss his skill shot, and the engage is fumbled away by SKT. Rox going for the second Ocean Drake.
Yeah, he felt like he had to make the play, but there was definitely merit to patience for SKT. They had control over the mid lane. The objective wasn't started. It's not like it mattered so much.
Never mind.
Here we go.
That actually does force the flash out of Bang. You know Peanut's crazy. He'll go for that now. Gorilla, beset by Duke, has to flash away. So several summoners burn, but the re-engage is there, and he gets Bang only into the wall. Peanut flubs it a bit and gets turned around.
No, 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 you don't go try and solo Bang. He
Not
was
yet.
able to back up right there, and Faker got the shield from over the wall.
Yeah, not yet. He did it last game. Was looking for a repeat play, but that's Peanut in a nutshell. He will have some failures, but he keeps going for all these plays. And overall, if you look at a series-wide, he generally has much more successes than failures, which make it work. This one, though, he got the flash.
Yep.
Then he wanted more.
Yeah, he knows that the flash is down on Bang. He lands this, but Doesn't account for the 90 caliber net. Can't kick flash in time, but even if he could, Faker's still going to be able to get over there.
I think the trap, he got onto a trap that slowed him down. He knows, he's like, my bad, boys.
Oh. Now it's pressure back on the mid side. Wow, Duke deletes one, but it's a trade as well. Both supports are dead, and now Duke is being chased. Gets back onto Phreak. They have the damage. Yes, he does. It's a shutdown. But now it's the Equalizer trying to hope the fight is just that. Maybe it's a 2 for 2. The flash chase, Kuro's there, the slows are there, and he will get the kill, a shutdown. 2 for 2 overall.
And we can see almost the fatigue or just the rapid pacing of the series starting to influence these players. The fact that you get hit by an Ekko ultimate where you can clearly track the ghost. You know, so many of these pickoffs have been visible to either teams, but there's these small mistakes. Wolf flashing in.
They really wanted to finish off this mid lane turret. The AShe actually lands on a Faker, but that pulls the rest of SKT in. So then Phreak just has to flash forward onto Wolf, knowing all the damage is gone out of the fight. Impressive of Duke to be able to salvage this one, kill Gorilla, then ult back onto Phreak, who wasn't respecting the clone. And yes, Rox runs it down, but to get a 2v2 in that situation, I think is actually fortuitous for SKT.
I have to take that back though, because the clone wasn't actually visible, because he came from the teleport. That was the frame. The clone spawned in the lane, because it was still in the fountain. He didn't know when it was going to come down, so he essentially has to count down 4 seconds from when the TP lands.
That's just beautiful from Duke.
That's actually insane from Duke, because if he does that a second too early, he flies back into the fountain.
And we see that all the time from Echoes who teleport into fights and then want to use their ultimates. So.
And if he did it 0.5 later, he would have missed. So that is actually frame perfect from Duke.
Yeah, beautiful stuff right here. 2,500 gold separates these teams. It is a narrow margin. And yes, Rox have better scaling than they did in the previous game. I would say that their threat's not quite as high, and that is a nice juke by Bang.
Yeah, great sidestep. And as effective as the AShe arrows have been for Prey thus far, the effectiveness is going to diminish a little bit. Because SKT is finally getting some things to help themselves. So far, they haven't done much to help themselves. No cleanse on their mid laner, no QSS, and you're not building Mikhails on Zyra because you want to build the Andrews. Soon, Bang will have his QSS, Olaf will always be able to use his ultimate to get out of it, and Duke is becoming tanky enough to absorb it. So the number of viable targets for Prey is diminishing throughout the game.
In addition to that, they can also just use decent posturing and like making their ranks efficient. If they have people with Faker behind them, Faker can just shield whatever target gets hit. He can likely survive. Put Duke in front, put Blank in front, or Blank rather in front, and then suddenly Bang doesn't even need to buy QSS. He can just hide in the backline.
Yeah, they have an incredibly strong front line with the Orianna. Yeah. It's very similar to what they did in Game 1 when they had the Trundle, Olaf, and Orianna. So very strong late game team fighting that SKT is extremely confident in.
SKT meanwhile have moved into the 4-1. They've taken control of the river area. There is no vision in that Baron. There is no blue trinket right now available either. They have perfect vision control. Rox is contemplating a face check, but SKT...
Ghost!
They want to get mid control first. This is step 1. They will push out mid here and then likely retreat into the area.
Equalizer's on, they want this was on the Faker as well, and he's just gone! Gorilla gets the credit, of course, why not? 11-7, no mid laner.
The target that he had to hit! They could not just keep the tanks in front of Faker. Faker was the one who gets caught there, and this could mean a lot for Rox.
It could mean a lot. Kuro's going to stop Duke from getting away from anything. Duke's going to set up for the fight, and Kuro says, you're right, that's enough for me, that's fine. Our team has control of top jungle, let's take it over.
And if Rox didn't pull the trigger right there, they would be in an impossible scenario where SKT had mid-wave clear and complete control of Baron. That was such a good trigger.
But now it's a 5v4 at Baron without Orianna. SKT doesn't want to give it up, though. Baron low.
3,000 health. Blank's not in range. He doesn't have flash. He's going for it now. Can he get it?
Early.
No, he can't. He's just popped right away. That's a secure Baron. It should not be stolen, and it will be secured. Rox make the play perfect.
And we just have to state it time and time again. Rox, they make the perfect play, but at the right time as well. Any earlier, any later, it would have been a bad reaction, but they catch the person they have to catch in Faker. If they would allow SKT to retreat into the fog of war, it would be so hard for them to face check into this Orianna, but they just aggressively challenge this minion wave battle in the mid lane with another beautiful arrow from Prey.
Yeah, and also, Blank really should not have been running in there to try and steal that Baron, but we have to see the pick itself. Blank burned his Ghost early, and then Faker runs up away from the Make It Rain and the Equalizer as he's just getting drilled by the AShe arrow.
Yeah, we need to look at the goal of this play. SKT was trying to control the mid wave first, and then retreat back to their Baron bait that they had so elaborately set up in the last 2 minutes. They had pink wards, they had completely swept out the vision. There was no vision for Rox. If this play failed, maybe a Hawkshot could save them, but that would have been it. What a beautiful counterplay here by Rox Tigers.
Let's see what else they can get now, because Baron buff is on. They've earned 400 gold above what the Baron itself would give them. See how much more can happen. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on this Baron buff. Plenty of time to make plays and stretch that gold lead.
And we would also be remiss if we didn't talk about Kuro's Viktor, because it has almost always been his most reliable and best champion. And even though Faker's been able to get some pressure in the side lanes, when Rox have been able to get these picks, the fact that he's picked up 4 kills cannot be overlooked. Viktor has tremendous late game scaling, especially when cutting through tanks, because the damage that Viktor puts out in the late game is massive. So especially when he completes Death Cap, it's one of the highest AP mid laners you can get in the game, and is the biggest difference we mentioned in the team composition. You take out Karma, you add Viktor, and they have much better late game scaling with which to add to this 6,000 gold lead.
Yeah, you take away of the early punch here, but you at least have a late game insurance in case it goes wrong. Stylistically, it just fits Kuro so well as a player. Relatively passive in lane, doesn't always want to push. But that's fine, Rox Tigers have been fine playing around it.
Ooh, the Shockwave puts Prey into a trap as well, and the deletion is there. Nicely played. Duke getting a bit low, but he's finding that Guardian Angel. Kuro putting a bit of damage, and actually, no, they will pop the GA. Bullet Time gets some damage. They cannot quite get blank. Then Duke revives up, but still a bit of time to play with. It's a 5v4, and even despite that, SKT's low enough that Rox continue to have control over this turret, and they knock down one with this Baron.
And that's honestly the mark of a great team, knowing that while you're a man down, you may just have the resources to still win that fight 5v4. Beautiful combo here, trap.
Yeah.
Prey off to the Shockwave.
Prey was getting pretty greedy there, trying to get hits in near those Caitlyn traps, but also he did have flash up while that Shockwave was hitting, so thought he was out of range, wasn't quite, does get punished, but I agree with you, Krepo. Just the strength of Rox to know, even though they'd lost their AD carry, Shockwave was down, the rest of SKT's teamfight wasn't super threatening, and they could continue to stay in.
And that for me was one of the best things about SKT when I first started discovering them. They would be so good even in deficits, especially around early dragons, where they would lose a member, but the opposing team would use so many ultimates to get that one pick that SKT would masterfully fight out the remaining 4v5 and win. So Rox, reminiscent of that strength here in the duel, where they may finally be able to beat and best SKT in a best of 5.
And it's worth pointing out as we siege into the top lane,
Arrow.
and AShe are coming in, gonna get dodged away from. It's now just
Teleport from Duke.
top side.
And they know AShe isn't here, so they're actually going to push really hard to try and get onto Kuro here. He's got a flash.
Well, when the Kuro, he's got flash, he's got ulti, but he's not gonna burn these spells just yet. He's running out of health way too rapidly, and Blake's gonna pick him off. The shutdown is there, and Gorilla's now just putting bullets into Duke. How much can they really get? Ooh, Bullet Time does a lot. It forces flash out, and now Prey is here. Exhaust is on. One kill picked up, and Faker gets it back onto Gorilla. Smeb running out of health and gets shut down as well, but Prey, does he find the targets? Peanut has Guardian Angel. Maybe he plays frontline. How much can they really get? Prey turns it back. Looks for bang, looks for it all. He's got one. What else can he get? It's gonna be Blake in his sights.
He's coming back.
Baker's low. How much more can they get? The stun's coming in, and it's Duke with the big play. But the turnaround from Prey, turning it back in. The chase, the resonating strike, and the ace comes through for Peanut.
These fights are out of control this game. Rox Tigers and Prey in particular, time and time again, when you think an AD carry might go back, Prey stays in and he comes out on top.
Oh, we're in a World Tournament with so many great AD carries. Wondering who will be on top at the end. Prey is definitely making a statement here. All-Star Jatt, as you pointed out, they know AShe is not here. They run at Kuro. Look at Peanut, he's waiting for Blank to get the Olaf ulti to timeout. That's what he's hoping for, a good kick, but he stays too close, takes some damage. The turnaround potential of MF is huge, but SKT, they survived up until this point.
And the Black Cleaver on MF actually does a lot of work right here as far as getting a lot of poke down. As Prey arrives, they instantly kill him, and then the rest of this fight is just such slim margins as SKT try to come through. The Hurricane AShe right here. Prey waits in Fog of War, gets a bunch of damage off.
Gets a bunch of damage, flashes in aggressively when he knows. Look, he's gonna track, by the way, the parallel convergence in the next phase of this play. He moves out, moves in when the Lee Sin is about to spawn to give him an option, sees parallel convergence, sidesteps out of it, goes for Faker, and then turns towards Duke. This is well played.
And then Duke and Faker, you have to threaten the higher threat target, which is going to be Prey. I think it's a misplay at the very end of that fight by Duke to go for the Lee Sin instead of Prey. That might not have been the difference, but it definitely would have helped. Rox with a huge team fight win.
That was a 2 versus 4 at the end. It was turned around. You can see plenty of damage. So that 5,000 damage AShe of Prey. Yeah, that was absolutely huge. Looking at the arrow to
Phreak's
slow
got
down
no
Duke,
flash.
looking for a bit more. It's blank on the chase, but can't find much more.
Yeah, Olaf ult to use. Faker's in the mid lane. We see a flank from the Viktor. Faker no flash either. If he gets a slow apply to him, he's going to be a goner too.
Uh-oh.
Blank's down in ultimate, so they might try to go here.
Not a lot of tools to get away. Has to run through the equalizer. Big chunk comes out of Kuro. How much more can he find? It was SKT able to kite away and not take any more Chaos Storm damage.
A lot of big cooldowns used by Rox. They also have triple Ocean Drake, so any poke that they land onto them will be refunded, but the cooldowns are still very real for Rox Tigers. And Baron is up in 25 seconds. SKT should have time to heal up and run out here, but they will be trying to do it without vision, which makes it incredibly difficult to harass.
So if you look at SKT right now, they have such few wards honestly, into their own jungle that now belongs to Rox. They have to face check essentially every single brush. They know some key cooldowns are down. They will be happy once they spot these members in the mid lane. They just use a Hawkshot. Very tense situation right here.
Yeah, Rox mostly recalled their team after completely warding up the top side jungle. They can use those wards to buy themselves some time. A lot of the recalls came in. They've come back in the mid lane now with a refreshed Sightstone, and we'll see what more Rox can get as they are the team with the lead, with the ability to control the map.
And control the map, they will. Prey has been so good with the Ashe arrows, and Kuro's also at a point now where if he gets another angle, like we just saw, you see he completely removes SKT from a fight. So Rox doesn't actually need to win a team fight, they just need to kill one person, and then they can actually force the Baron.
But let's go over the strengths of SKT right now. How do they win? Well, they put Duke in the side lane and have him duel. When's the last time we've seen Duke aggressively push out a side lane and threaten the map? Honestly, 20 minutes ago it feels, because Rox is keeping the map so compact, they're not allowing him. It's even Faker that just pushed out the bottom lane here. Because the immediate threat of Rox here, they just put so much pressure on every single step that SKT takes.
And that means SKT doesn't have the time to push out the side lane, and it draws them towards the Baron. Look, once again, they go straight for it. They're trying to draw SKT towards them. They're burning it down.
It's dead too fast. There was no chance for him to come in. Arrow comes through, and Wallace just gonna hit the Banshee's Veil. That's Blank losing an item passive, but who really cares? SKT shoving down mid.
SKT's trying to cut them off right here, not fearing the Baron immediately.
I mean, there's always Equalizer right here for the Rox lineup. They can always get rid of the minion waves, but they're looking for more aggression. What a beautiful Baron again by Rox. Their awareness around objectives is so impressive.
And SKT still looking to stab, hoping that maybe Rox splits up a bit. Viktor's actually over in the western jungle, so there's moments of a 5v4. Gorilla checking with rushes.
There's a chance that SKT would try and play around Elder Drake, but the play that SKT just tried on the Rox Tigers is getting turned around on them. They have a clear path up mid lane with Baron. They can get the inhibitor. The only way SKT stops them is fighting them from the rear.
And they can try. Kuro has to slink around the far outside. Inhibitor turret's already gone. SKT, when will they choose to go in? The front line's in place. Duke is looking for something, but he's not going to get Frey, who plays far enough back that it's not even a problem. But now, Rox's escape is through a turret if SKT can find their way in, but they cannot. Rox out with an inhibitor take clean into the top lane.
And this must be a very easy game for the observers, because with one single swoop, they can always track the entire Rox lineup. These guys are always 5 together here, combating the 4-1 nature of SKT, because they have hard CC embedded in their comp. SKT only have kind of conditional CC. It's really hard for them to target.
They get Faker again!
They hit arrow onto Faker. The flash chase. Peanut doesn't have enough damage. The knockups are there, but Peanut won't go down. Bang finally gets a shot, but it's only Guardian Angel down. Smeb's running out of health, and that's still not going to be a kill thanks to the heal from Prey. Nobody's dying from Rox Tigers, but it might just be that for SKT. The Chaos Storm is in. A bit more damage on a Blank. Almost gets him down, but he slinks away with about 10 HP. Still, control over this with the Ocean Drake regenning. Peanut looking for a hit Nexus turret.
And the Ocean Drake is actually insane in this push right now. They continue to push. No one on SKT has died, but Rox getting so many turrets.
Getting a lot of damage. Duke on the backside looking for the duel against Prey, running through some minions to get him more time, but he's actually trapped inside the minion wave. Playing so well for Rox Tigers. Guardian Angel gonna pop, but what else can he even do? And it's nothing. Peanut gets a shutdown on a rampage. 18-11 here. 11,000 gold up. Rox Tigers looking to push more.
And their ultimates will be coming up shortly. Arrow again.
Blank did not have his ulti available, but it was short enough that the stun wore off no matter what. Last Nexus turret is down. Looking to make it 2-1 in the series. Rox going for the play. Another kill comes through for Peanut. There's the Nexus, and it's 2-1 Rox Tigers. They are 1 game away from breaking the curse.
What a game, honestly. Again, the Ashe Zyra being the pivotal 2 champions. in this draft here and allowing also Peanut to just play his game. Again, he arrives early in the bot lane, combining that AShe arrow with some pressure. The second that tier 1 falls in the bot lane, you could see immediately how much more pressure the Tigers have on the map.
Yeah, and I love the way that the Tigers closed out this game. They actually seemed to be a lot cleaner than in game 2. Phreak consistently landed those AShe arrows, and they have some swagger now.
Yeah, look at Peanut. He's just jumping down. He's basically gesturing towards the crowd. One more game. It's a dangerous thing to do. Yeah, I've done it twice. I've lost the one more game multiple times as well, so I really hope it doesn't happen for Peanut, but they have confidence right now.
And Rox Tigers have fallen in the last 3 best-of-5s they played against SKT. Never have they had 2 wins up in the series.
They've only had 2 wins in total.
Yeah, and now they have 4, so they've doubled it in this series alone. So you can see how they feel like they're kind of overcoming a demon that has been plaguing them for so long. With play like the way Peanut's been doing, the way Prey and Gorilla have seemed to kind of solve this bottom lane with the pick after pick, SKT have to change things up in this next one because they tried round 2 of the Misfortune lane, they lost again. They have to change.
And the problem against these AShe arrows, you can't even draft like a Morgana because it's just too weak in lane, so you need to get rid of, honestly, either that pick or we may see the return of the Tahm Kench, because that way you can position in a lane where suddenly you play behind your AD carry, he has pressure, maybe gets the early QSS. If he gets hit, suddenly you devour him, walk the way out. Poke doesn't really work that well because you got to go to Grey Health. That could be a solution, but definitely you will see Coma react to this pick in the bottom lane. There's no way they're getting AShe Zyra without a plan from SKT.
Yeah, it was funny. They thought they had the plan in the previous one. Let's just pick Caitlyn instead of Ezreal, hope it works out. That obviously was not the case. Maybe you see something like a Sivir who can spell shield, but of course it makes the laning matchup worse.
Yeah,
and
horrible versus AShe. Yeah.
Of course, and of course there's a lot going on as well overall, right? You've got the top lane matchup being very interesting. Peanut being super aggressive and finding all these openings and making these super sick plays with the kick flashes and getting all these awesome kills, the highlight reels. Either way, it's just been a phenomenal series to be a part of so far, and we will have 1 or 2 more games. So for now, we're going to